Hey, Warren, I've got a kind of a tricky question about webinars. In particular, myself and a couple of my clients, they've been looking at how to run a webinar, and there's lots of different systems and monthly plans and services. And as I'm looking at them, there's a couple that different philosophies that stand out. One's possibly Evergreen Business System, which is you pay once, you get a package that loads up into your website, and you can run a webinar system or create webinars and run them automatically into the future. The other is more like a traditional GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar type of scenario where you pay a monthly fee to somebody. Sometimes you'll have to pay extra depending on how many people come into the webinar, and it's running on somebody else's system, somebody else's website. I've got reservations about that. Although the name GoToMeeting, has a lot of both good and bad connotations. They install software on your desktop, and that can be ugly. Obviously, I'm a little lost, and I'm in over my head a little bit with the webinar concept. And so I'm wondering, what are your thoughts on what's better? Something like Evergreen Business Systems, where you automate the webinars and perfect them before you go live, and pay, one price and you're done with it, or something like a GoToMeeting where you're paying monthly and the good and bad that comes with that. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, this is a great question. First of all, most of the questions like this that I get end up being like whether you need A or B or which product is best and do the features win. And the truth is, especially when you get into like the economics of it, anything you do that's doing webinars can be so profitable for your business that the cost really is nothing. If you've done 100 webinars and you want to look at what may help your budget in the next quarter, then it's maybe time to take a look at that. But starting off, first of all, doing a GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar type of thing, recording is a problem. And if you're doing a webinar that's working, if you have good information, just like us talking here, I mean, we've turned on a recorder and I'm answering the question here so I can share it with other people. It makes sense to record it and have as much options to do with that as you can. So I like creating content and then sharing it with people, even if in creating the content, you're creating it like live. Some people ask, should it be live versus recorded? There's one cardinal rule on that. Don't lie about it. There's a lot of things that look like, and especially Evergreen Business Systems, just looks like it's a webinar that you signed up for and it's held at a certain time, and you can there's even an option to fake having people on the call. All of that is okay, I don't know, it's up to you what you want to do on that. What I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about whether or not, if I go on the webinar and say, "Hi, welcome to the webinar. We are live right now and you can chat with us." And really I'm off having dinner while the webinar's running. That would be lying. The following is a live presentation. You don't have, and whether or not you mark that it's recorded, there's some psychology things about that. You can actually get away with something by lying about it. If they find out you're lying about it, they'll hate you. And we're not talking about the ethics part. I'm just talking about the psychology part. And then the other thing is, there was a study with infomercials, when they started having to label, when you watch an infomercial, it says the following is a paid program, like that. It turns out that that actually increased, the credibility of the program. So, you can play around with different ththings there. So what we're really looking about is how professional do you want to be in your presentation. If you want to take the time to record it, like, right now, as bumbling as I am, this is me at my best. But if I did slip up or, fall off my chair or whatever, we could cut and do it again. So we can, take care. If you want to be live while the webinar is going, run the webinar and then be live in the chat and go ahead and talk to people, which means your full attention is on the people that are attending, which is where it should be anywhere. Well, anyway, so I like the idea of recording first and then using a system like Evergreen is the best of all. Although, anyway, if it's really about whether or not you're engaging with the audience and answering the questions.
That makes sense. One of the things that attracted me to that concept was what you mentioned in the chat discussion. If you're a one-person show, you can't necessarily talk and then respond to people in the chat room at the same time. So if you can record what you're going to say in your presentation,
right.
you can then take that feedback and move on from there and respond live while you're also talking.
Right. I found in the last couple of years, since I got used to answering a lot of people on Twitter, wrote the first Twitter book and got a lot of people coming to me and say, oh, how do I get a lot of followers on Twitter or whatever like that? And I'm answering the same question over and over again. And, we used to like put that on an FAQ and forget about it and see my frequently asked questions. Today, what I'm finding is the technology allows us to automate some things that don't add to the experience and spend our time on things that do add the experience. And answering those things, what I find is the sales to people who have asked a question in chat are at least double the sales of overall. So even if I have a recorded webinar, being there live and answering the questions is going to be well worth the time to do it. It does give me the flexibility of maybe not being there or having somebody else man it. Again, only in ways I find ethical. And so that's just the best thing. So now, if I'm doing a live webinar, I use Evergreen Business Systems. I set it up as like a live date. I go ahead and pre-record it. I load it up. They have an option for doing actual live and recording a live one. But most of the time, I'll go ahead and pre-record it so I can pay attention to the people that are attending. Although there's always that option to do it live and record it. In all cases, though, make sure you record what you do because you never know when you're going to come up with just the right gem of explaining something. People say that was great. You want to be able to go ahead and share it with the next person that asks. Just like you're asking today, I'm sure somebody else can ask about webinars. That's true of any topic. There's always a lot more people that want to know about your expertise than you're going to get on any one particular webinar. So rule one, record it, which kind of, to me, says GoToWebinar and GoToMeeting is a kind of a proprietary hole you get into. You have to use their system. There are ways to break out of that, but why bother? Just go ahead and record it somewhere like what we're doing now, or as a PowerPoint with screen capture. Make that part of the presentation. Another thing I've seen is to actually go on live, introduce the presentation, and then say, here's a presentation I prepared, and show that. You can try it different ways to see what works best, but I'll tell you that I've seen enough bad live presentations or a person showing up late or the slides not working to make it, why have so much focus on the live? As long as you're telling the truth, it's fine. So I guess.
Why change it on Murphy's Law?
Yep, Evergreen or any of the other automated systems. When choosing one, make sure you choose one that works with your existing automation. In my case, I'm a big fan of Infusionsoft. Evergreen Business Systems tied into it really well, and that's why I'm mentioning that one here. They all work well, and the support from Evergreen Business Systems. I know the guys there, they're fantastic. It's a small company, and they give you a lot more upgrades than you pay for and a lot more attention. So good company, good idea.
All right. That helps quite a bit. Let me ask one final follow-up question. Is it possible to mix with Evergreen Business? So could I potentially do, 2 minutes of live, an intro, and then hit the play button and play my pre-recorded presentation? So I could say, here, in a second, I'm going to start the presentation. It was actually pre-recorded, yesterday, a week ago, whatever the case is, and kind of do a mix and match of the two.
Yeah, the automated systems are sometimes set up so somebody can opt in and say they want to see it, and you can allow them to see it right away, that you can schedule it at times you wouldn't be available, some things like that. Or you can just, use it like rebroadcast. And there's something to the letting somebody know, hey, I've got a webinar coming up that you'd be interested in. No time do you say that it's live, and just let them see it. That technology limits, as we found out in producing these kind of videos, it just limits to the number of ways that we can go ahead and switch back and forth. It'd be great if you had one thing that was good at screen sharing, bringing on an extra person, doing live versus recorded and all of that. But the technologies, as of this time, has not quite got there. There's some tricks you could do, but I'd say avoid that. The way you do what you're asking about, I guess, would be to run a live webinar and then play the recording. Definitely that's where you want to go with a system that is allowing for that. That's actually a lot more common among things outside of GoToWebinar, and ones that are meant for meeting presentation. And I'm thinking one of the other things that's coming is go ahead and use a recorded webinar and let people know that there will be a Google Hangout at this time, like right after it or whatever. You can be standing by with a Google Hangout or a chat session or whatever to be able to help people further. Because one of the things we're doing whenever we're trying to communicate is to engage people and build a relationship to where they trust you the next time that they've got a question. There's very few situations where the purpose of a webinar is for me to present information to you and then goodbye, we never talk again. Right. And some of these webinars I see look like that's what they expected to happen. Here's the latest trends going on. And then when they start to tack on to that ways to engage and create a relationship, it seems forced, like, you'll want to download our white paper. Call today. Buy this. And the truth is you can go directly from anything into another discussion or follow-up email saying like, hey, we're having another live discussion if you want to do that. Or if you liked what you learned and would like to learn more, go do this, which is the upsell. And I'm finding that to be more and more in our testing. We're seeing that work more than the good old, if you ask them to buy more times, they're more likely to buy. Still plenty to be done in the direct marketing to do that better. But boy, how much fun is it that you can say to somebody, I'm hanging out on Google if you got any questions, and know that the only people that you're inviting are people that have already seen your webinar. If they've qualified, they're interested, they're your likely buyers, and they're people who really care about the topic, rather than saying, hey, I'm having a hangout and just sending the people to that.